Okay, I don't know where to start, but I just discovered something that hopefully will help a lot of you people out, save you a few $100 um, on your. This is a 2007 Mercury Mariner hybrid. I got rear-ended again, this time in the hybrid, and my instrument cluster lights were flickering off and on, and they're working intermittently. Say toy boat 5 times really quick. So, it would only happen you'd hit a bump, or sometimes you're just going down the road, it would happen. See, that didn't make sense to me. I'm riding on a smooth plane, and they would act like they had a short, and then when you hit a bump, you had musical lights in your cluster gauge. Some would work, some wouldn't, some. So anyway, I'm arguing with the insurance company saying, look, this didn't happen. I didn't have this problem before. And made them take it back to the Ford dealership because the Ford dealership originally didn't diagnose it properly. So then made them take it back, and they came back with a loose, wore out bulb socket. Now I'm inspecting these bulb sockets. I found one that was a little wonky, but it was nothing that you just bend the pin down and you're good, right? But it's not the socket that's the problem, okay? That socket just needed one of these pins. I'll show you what's going on. So here's your light bulb, okay? And then you have these contacts here. So these contacts, if they're sitting too high up, what they're going to do is they're not going to make contact with the other side of the circuit board. See, this sits down in there, and then you have a positive and you have a negative on these small lights. And for those that don't know, these are 73s. Okay? So what was going on when I got rear-ended, so it was caused by the freaking accident. I'll fix it, but I'm not very happy. So when I got rear-ended, the impact, watch. I don't know if I can get this to focus. The impact caused the filament. You see the one filament there? These are double filamented. Okay? So the way these work is you're going to have two filaments, or a left and a right filament, let's call it. So there's a left and a right circuit in here. There's two filaments. There. See them? See the wire on the side and the two in the middle, little feeder wires on the side? Okay, there's 4 wires there. See it? These are double filamented. So you can have one filament and the bulb go out, and the bulb will still work. It'll just be at half power. But if you get rear-ended, it's going to knock everything around in the car, and what it does is it knocks what it's done on look at this. What it's done on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I set the other bulb somewhere, but it was 6 bulbs total. It's actually knocked the filament loose. So you had one filament, and looking at the bulbs, you have one filament that's loose, and you're driving around on a smooth surface, or you hit a bump, the filament makes contact and lights up that side of the bulb, makes it brighter. And then some of these bulbs had both filaments that were making contact. Sometimes when you hit a bump, they would not make contact. It's like when you shake a bulb. You shake a bulb and screw it back in, and then filament makes contact. If you don't shake it too hard, and it'll work for a while, and then it goes poof, and it goes out. So that was going on here. I can't get the camera focus to do this for you guys to see what's going on, but I just showed you the two filaments, but you can see there. Okay, so I had out of these bulbs, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bulbs for the instrument gauge in here for these clusters, so I can, you can see them. And then you have these upper bulbs on the top right, and these upper bulbs I think are for turn signal. Well, one's for turn signal, right? You got turn signal on either side. and then turn signal and wrench light. So one's the wrench light on the right side. So this is the wrench light on the right side towards the center of the gauge on the back. And then the other one is the turn signal. And this is turn signal. Okay, so this is turn signal bulb. This is turn signal bulb, and this is a wrench light. Those bulbs are fine. They work. I don't need to fiddle with them. It was these ones, right? Because I got hit pretty hard. So that's what's going on. So what I'd recommend doing, if you have this problem, your lights are flickering or flashing or whatever you're having, or they're dim and they work and they're dim and then they're bright and they're dim and they're bright, it's acting like it's got a short. Well, yeah, it's got a filament short, and that's what's going on. So just replace the bulbs. Now let me show you something here. I'm going to take this bulb out. I'm going to try and hopefully show you how the inside of this thing, these sockets work. So you don't have to be charged $30 for a socket to resolve an issue with a war socket. Okay, so let's take a look here and try and get this light to go. See that? See those contacts in there? Okay, now there's 4 contacts in there. Okay, top and bottom. That's to make the contact for the 12 volt to go through the bulb. And then there's metal wire on either side there, or that metal banding on either side. That holds the bulb in. Okay, so you see it there. And that's where those tabs are that engage in the back side of the circuit board. Okay, so let me show you what you do. What you can do is take a little bit of pliers, small little tiny pliers. You're going to take this and you slightly, ever so slightly, you're going to depress this down. I mean, not even that much, right there, right? Just depress them a little bit. If you overbend them, you're going to have a stress fracture here when they straighten out, when they get pushed back by the circuit board. You have to be very careful with this, right? And then on these contacts here, if your contacts are loose, right here, okay, what you're going to do is you can take a toothpick or a standard pick, and you go in and you can grab that contact. See what I'm doing? And you can pull that in. Now, I checked all the sockets here. One socket was a little bit funky, but you know, it looked like someone was playing with the bulb and wiggling it around in there instead of just being careful. You can't do that. You cannot do this. So what you do not want to do with these cheap little sockets is you do not want to put the bulb in and wiggle it around. That's just not going to work. You're going to loosen the contacts in there. And you guys that have been watching my videos, you know I know my stuff when it comes to these electronics and cars, when it comes to this stuff. So I'm going to bend these tabs down just a tad bit. Let me show you how it's done. And like I said, you're only going to be able to do this one time, or you're going to have to buy another socket. So we're going to go right there. I'm going to go right here. Very, very gently. That's it. That's all I need. That's all I need. And turn it around. Now there's an ear on this tab. You don't want to bend that ear down. So don't bend this ear down. You're going to go on the back side where it's already bent down, okay? And you're going to just go a little bit. That's it. Now you're going to take some dielectric grease. Okay, take a little bit of dielectric grease, just a little bit. You can come on the other side of this contact here, and you see how it's pitched up? You put a little bit of grease there. Okay, just a little bit. Come on that back side, put a little bit there. Now, since you've been putting greasy fingerprints all over the bulb, you got to clean your bulb. Because the grease, you get any grease on the bulb, it'll create a hot spot, and then that'll be a failure point for the bulb. Okay, now we're going to reinstall this back in its position. So you can see here where the contacts here are going to engage through the openings in the circuit board. You push down and turn it to the right, and then this is tight. Of course, it was tight anyway. There was one that was wonky, but I'm telling you, I don't think these bulbs have been out of this vehicle since it was manufactured. So I think one of the sockets was a little beat up because somebody was grabbing the bulb, wiggling it around in the socket, which you never want to do, and caused the socket to get stretched out. I've resolved it and fixed it. So I fixed the contacts in there. So that's what's going on. Here's that other bulb that went away. So the bulbs in here, in this one, when I got hit, it knocked a lot of the filaments loose. So the bulb's bouncing, you know, it's in the car and the filament's making contact, or one's making contact, and you hit a bump and now it's not making contact. That's what's going on. It's not the bulb sockets, okay? Because here they are. This bulb socket's nice and tight, okay? See, I'm pushing on them. They're not moving. Okay. I mean, you know, so what they'll tell you, what you'll be told is, oh, you need new bulb sockets, which probably wouldn't hurt. I mean, if you want to spend the money, replace the bulb sockets, and then they replace the bulbs. But the real issue, listen to me, the real issue is the bulbs. Now, if you're going to pay a dealership to take these stupid things out, and you want to spend $30 or whatever they charge for these little bulb sockets, if they're not charging you $30 a piece, I can't remember what he said it was for each one. If it's not a stupidly ridiculous price for each one of these bulb sockets, then go ahead and replace them and put new bulbs in. I mean, do I think that's absolutely necessary? In my case, no. I don't think that was the problem. I think the problem was the filaments on these bulbs. Half of them, remember, they're double filamented. Half the filaments in these bulbs were missing. So what was going on is you got one filament dangling. One's making contact, and then you got your light going, and one's dangling, making contact, and then not making contact. You hit a bump, or it flips over here, and it makes the contact. So, who knows? There's the problem, right there. And this is why I work on my car. You know, I've been hurt, and, you know, and got rear-ended and what have you. I don't like working on the car, and really don't enjoy it. I sure as hell don't get on my back anymore and start wrenching stuff anymore. I'm getting kind of old for that, but this is why I learned all this stuff. You know, you learn as you go when you deal with working on vehicles, because you just get tired of other people telling you it's something when it's not that problem, or misdiagnosing the issue and then telling you it's something, and you're paying money to get that fixed, and it winds up being something else, you know. So there's my rant. I'm ranting and raving. Don't mind me. You know what I pay? $15 for light bulbs and 15 minutes of work. And there's nothing to getting this out. It's pretty easy to get this instrument cluster out. So there's, like I said, there's videos on it online. You have a bezel, and then you have 4 screws. So you've got a screw here, you've got a screw here, and then you've got these upper screws here, right? And I think they're 7 or 8 millimeter. I can't recall. I think they're 7. And the bezel's 2 screws on the top, right? And then you have to slide a paint scraper in there to take the bezel out. But there's a video on that, so you can look that up. So it's not hard anyway. So there you have it. If you're having problems with your instrument gauge in your '07 Mercury Mariner or any other vehicle that would cross-reference over that, take your bulbs out and go and replace them, and then tighten those contacts a little bit like I just showed you. Put some dielectric grease on them. Make sure the bulb isn't too wobbly in the socket. If they haven't been replaced, they're probably fine. But if they've been replaced and someone's been jiggling the bulb around and jerking around in the socket because they're not thinking, you're going to loosen the socket. Okay? So that should solve your problem. All right. Hopefully this helps somebody out. Over and out.